Ready for action.
That's what I think most people think. When they hear AI, they think of the movies and they think of fucking robots taking over the world and shit like that. And the truth is, it's not like that at all right now. I mean, could possibly. We don't know. But what is it right now? Because you use AI. I mean, your whole business is kind of built around the automation aspect of AI and using it to create these bots, using it to create these automations. So when you tell someone about AI, how do you kind of describe it in your realm, in your business?
So it depends. Like we usually people always resonate with like things that relate to them, right? So it's like, who am I talking? Am I talking to somebody who's like an import manager? Because like, let's say for like a company we work with, for example, we worked with the import manager, super large company. They're like the largest tile manufacturing company in like the US. And they had these documents coming in like all unstructured, all this shit. And so we were able to use AI to process like those documents, categorize them, like tag them, all that stuff. And they had 4 people doing that. Now the 4 people, just as a note, they didn't get fired. Like they're repositioned at like some other part of the company. But we were able to automate like majority of that process using AI. Without it, like there's no possible way. So it's like, that's a really like positive way to look at it, but there's always another side to the coin.
Are you kind of focused on that? Or you think that's kind of going to be the bread and butter for the foreseeable future for the company?
Honestly, so like we are kind of like everywhere. So I mean that with like, y'all know what StockX is, right? So we created software that like, you have the Yeezys, you have all these like hype shoes that like the prices change based on like, and just like simple economics. And so we created software that goes and pulls those prices, because you can imagine like these shoe stores have like thousands of these shoes. If like 500 of them change by $5 a day, whatever that is, like $2,500 that you're losing off the bat if the math on that is right. But we created software that goes in the store, updates that automatically on a daily basis. And we charge like $250 a month for it. But like that's something that's like very simple, but these companies like really like it's positioned for scale. So we either create software for like the one-offs for these companies who have very specific processes that they want to automate, will help with. The other side of the business is like, this is something that a lot of companies have problems with. Let's try and make a product out of it and get people to subscribe to it. And that's like more or less what I'm going to focus on like in the coming years, because obviously it's the concept of like having to re-hunt every time, or like I hunt, once and I can reuse this food forever. So like we really want to get more in the subscription side of things, but the consulting and building for others, more of like, we can use that as an opportunity to learn and also understand processes and even get ideas. Like if this company is doing it, we see it consistently in other companies, then we'll try and, productize a similar.
Okay. Yeah. Cause I saw that on the website that, to me, what I understood was the model was a subscription service. Basically, they're paying you guys to build this, and then you're subscribing to that bot. And is that in perpetuity, or is that for a set period of time? And then the bot's theirs, and they don't have to like.
That's a good question.
Utilize your guys' services anymore.
So I get that asked. Like I get asked that by the client almost every time I tell them about like subscribing to it. They're like, "Do I own it? Am I paying down to own? Like, how does this work?" And so we do. Essentially, if it's a smaller company, they don't have like any technical people. If we build something and let them host it, if we let them like manage it, and something goes wrong with it, like they won't know what to do, and then they're out of luck. And that's what we try to avoid. So we'll make recommendations based on who we're working with, but we'll present all options. Smaller companies, we'll usually get them to subscribe. We'll manage it, super low subscription cost per month. We don't charge them to build it, and then we have to have a set year of like guaranteed payments after that, month to month. If let's say they don't need it anymore, they can just unsubscribe and they're good to go. But that year subscription like that they have to do, it covers our build costs. So at minimum we'll break even. After the fact, then we'll start making.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. I would like companies like StockX, if you're going to start working with them. Do you already work with them, or?
So we work with them. They don't work with us, if that makes sense. Like they don't. So I don't think that they like I haven't necessarily reached out for partnership just yet, because all we're doing is like scraping the website, right? It's not anything insane, but like I'm trying to find a way to position it to where it can be mutually beneficial, because right now it's beneficial to us, obviously. To them, like I have to figure out how to position where they're benefiting. Whether that's like we give them a percentage of the revenue that we get based on subscriptions to that software. That's like an approach I can take. Or
so they don't already have that. I mean, how did the prices get updated right now in StockX? Because if you go like today, the price could be different than it was yesterday. It changes already. So what's different about what you're kind of proposing?
Like, okay, imagine you have a shoe store, right? You got breads in your shoe store. You got size 9 breads. That size 9 bread is like $350 today. Tomorrow it is on StockX. The price changes to $400. it's a $50 increase. Your store still says $350. Usually what would happen is somebody has to go in their own store and then update that price. And that's like accounting for them remembering to do that, them making time to do all this stuff, then also having to do it for like 500,000 SKUs. And then these SKUs have like 10, 15 sizes of or you subscribe to our software and then we put it on like a recurring basis so that we're pulling that StockX price, we're integrating it to your store. And if there's a difference between your bread and StockX bread price, we'll update it automatically.
Is that an automation or is that a macro?
It's an automation, but you know macros too. We've yeah, I hate macros, but like we work with them.
Because the way I understood macros is it's a link between something else and something else. So when this changes, this should reflect the right association. So it's like building associations between X and Y.
Yeah.
So that's what that sounds like to me. Is like you're selling the association software, so where it automatically associates StockX price with your price. So say, Trusted Kicks, I need to be able to match my price to StockX every day.
Yep.
Okay, we're building this association between your platform and your website and where you display your prices to StockX prices.
Yep.
So is that the same thing? Because I thought automation is like a process.
I mean, like, so that's a valid point too. Yeah, like honestly, in its purest form, like that's really, we're just syncing it. There's no other way to sync it like easily. So we made a way for people to sync it, and we just asked to subscribe to that ability to sync it, and that's it. But so it is technically automation. But when you talk about automation, you're more of like thinking like, I want to automate this process of going into this website, emailing these people, whatever it may be, stuff like that, like stuff that you actually do on your computer.